Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckbuilder.com, here with Kyle Rusciano with the Market Monday, I guess, Market Thursday, when this is going to be released. With all of the shenanigans going on, Kyle has been reaching out to me for literally months to do a collaboration, and I finally got there. Let me just give you a little bit of an introduction. Kyle currently writes for Quiet Speculation. You know, that's some kind of a deal I'm starting to get in on as well, writing for Quiet Speculation. So definitely, if you aren't a member of Quiet Speculation, maybe this interview will maybe give you that little push to go sign up for Quiet Speculation. Some of this stuff is under the paywall, some is not under the paywall, but nonetheless, go check him out. I guess we can just get going here. We've been rambling here for quite some time. I wish I would have hit record.
Yeah, we really
we're
have.
going to try to script this, but we end up having a lot of good conversation just about MTG, the culture of MTGO, and whatnot. So I guess just briefly, just introduce yourself, Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle Rusciano. I've been writing for Quiet Speculation since June. I sent them an article on the cost of drafting that I decided to write when I noticed that both the introduction of play points and the introduction of masterpieces were raising the cost of drafting, and I saw some really interesting financial data. For example, like the average draft used to cost roughly $3. You know, if you won about 50% of your matches, you'd end up spending about $3 for the experience, and that got bumped up to about $5. And the requisite win rate that you would need to break, to roughly break even, went from about 63 on average to about 66 when the masterpieces were in the sets, and now that they're not, that's gone back down a little bit, back down to like 64, and I think Ixalan is 65 right now. It started out at like 63, but the set did decrease in value some.
Yeah, I've got the GoatBots EV calculator pulled up here, kind of showing everyone. That's a good way to kind of keep ahead. Treasures are the new currency. I guess that's when you notice the big change. I've had a mixed relationship with treasures because I absolutely hated the packs when they awarded packs, mainly because they were so bad at regulating their own markets with seconds and third sets. Do you remember when those would just get completely deflated to the point that they weren't even worth anything? Like, did you ever do like Torment clear back then? See, I've been MTGO since the beginning, and I think it was Torment where it got out of hand, where packs were selling for like 64 cents. And
yeah, I started playing with Theros block. So
okay.
earlier tonight when you were saying that at your pro tour that you went to, you were like, Dragon's Maze, that was like right before I really got started. I played as a little kid, so I did play back in I started with Weatherlight, played through Prophecy with my little brother. And the funny thing is, like, we didn't really know the rules all that well. I remember getting all excited about regeneration, and I thought that regeneration just meant like if the card was in your graveyard, you could bring it back for the regeneration cost onto the battlefield. So I brought this like Buried Alive deck to an extended tournament at my local game store, and like I did the interaction, and then the guy called a judge because I was like totally wrong, and then I remember just going, oh no, my deck is awful. So yeah.
Yep, I think we've all been there.
So anyway, yeah, no, I did not play Torment.
Yeah,
but
so did that do anything around? Did Journey of Nyx? Did that happen with Journey, or did it happen with possibly Fate Reforged? I can't remember if it
is the one where Lee Sharp, like he introduced like an emergency flashback because the booster packs were like below $1, or they were roughly $1. It was to the point of being a real problem. Like to the point of just an absolute collapse.
Well, I've been calling that, and they've had these. I can't believe it took them for as long. I guess it's MTGO. No one is surprised that it takes them that long to at least do something. We were calling Clearback and Torment, where like let us choose the prize. Let us choose the prize, because the Odyssey packs were like they're above MSRP. You could actually sell them to a bot for more than you could. I mean, people were actually. It was just slightly above. It was like at that time. I don't even think packs were $4. They were still like $3. But you could buy them for $3 and sell them to the bots for $3.06. And then the boss would sell them for $3.08 or something to people worth of tickets. And it was like, that's the only thing that was regulating them from just having this hyperinflation for Odyssey, because you still needed 2 Odyssey to draft 1 tournament, get all of the prizes from everything out there, except if you're doing some sort of core set draft or something, was giving you torment boosters. And it was just, so something did need to change. And then you can go back onto some of my YouTube videos, and when Treasures came out, I was just like, yep, MTG's over, because I just didn't see the point in the Treasures. But to my surprise, and after talking to GoatBots, and I actually had some private conversation with both the GoatBots and MTGO traders, the people that run those, they say people actually buy Treasures to open them for the thrill of opening them. So it's kind of stabilized the market that way. And so I was wrong about Treasures. But I guess we'll talk about Treasures and talk about EV, explain that to everyone listening here, and why it matters. So I guess I'll just take it over, Kyle.
I guess your readers more often are paper players.
There's a mix. I'm definitely sure there's a mix, but yeah, I am more of I would say more on the casual side of Magic.
Yeah, MTGO tends not to be on the casual side. Although I say that, and then just look at Iconic Masters, for example. Like, something I thought that was really bizarre was that more people were drafting the non-Phantom, where you had to win above 70% of your matches to break even, because the cards are, just not worth anything online. The biggest card is Mana Drain, right? And Mana Drain was worth over $100, right, in paper, like 150 or so. And then, online it was worth like $3. Mm-hmm. So, so just those things, the pack, the expected value was, of an Iconic Masters booster is only about double that of an Ixalan booster online. That's how close they are, right? But yet, the cost is so high. So anyway, but more people were in the non-Phantom, we're opening the real product, versus the Phantom queues, where the EV was better because the cost of the cards wasn't getting taken into account. But people love opening the cards. People love playing the lottery. In this case, it was to open Horizon Canopy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the lottery and gambling has an appeal.
Yeah. Well, that's just it's something that I have definitely kind of put my own foot in my own mouth here, because I've talked about like the Deckbuilder's toolkit, and I think it's the most god-awful product known to man. Yeah, it's my top seller at my store, and I can't wrap my mind around why people buy it. And in the past too, I even said, like, this last 2017, I would say a little bit of 2016, has been a huge turnaround of how I invest in paper cards, because now I almost exclusively invest in Commander. And that was a thing that I used to scoff at. And it's still people like the old time speculators, like even like Corbin Hostler and some of those old school people, where when I got into finance were the big gurus at the time. They were never talking about Commander cards. And so I think there's a lot. It's always, you got to identify people's behaviors on why they do the things they do, and make investments accordingly. Because the big, at least in paper, I don't know how familiar you are with finance and paper, the big winner out of paper in 2017 was definitely Commander. So,
well, yeah, I think Commander is what draws like a significant demand, in paper and none online.
Yeah. So,
cards,
yep.
Like if something is appropriate for Commander, then it's costed as such in paper and just not costed as such online. So,
yeah.
So it's a big deal. But anyway, like people are in a lot of people are playing Iconic Masters, and a lot of people think that it's worth like paying $9 to draft instead of $5, as long as they get the cards.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking here. Yeah, you have to be at 72% to break even. Nope, not even at 73%.
Yeah, it's something like 73. Uh-huh. 73, which is just unheard of. For your listeners, most sets, you need to win roughly 2/3 of your matches if they're masterpieces, and a little less than that, so like 63, 64% if there aren't. So like for Ixalan, it started out at 63% win rate you needed to break even, and that bumped up now to about 65. Whereas something like Battle for Zendikar, you needed close to like 67, I think was the high, maybe even 68 at times.
Those are pretty. Those are, I would even say, those are great win percentages too. When people, they want to think of what's the pro tour, the highest drafter was at the pro tour. They're spouting off the stats, and I can't remember where he was at, but it wasn't much higher than that.
And the competition is very very stiff. I think people hear something in the 60s and they think that they can, I don't know, they think that they can do it or something, and it's not. It's just really hard because everyone is good, everyone is competitive.
Yep.
Like and someone has to lose a game of Magic.
Yeah.
That's the rule. That's the great equalizer, right? Is that someone has to win and someone has to lose.
Yep. So, well, and MTGO will start weeding out the losers because they can't keep playing unless they're constantly pumping in money. So once you get up to this high win percentage, you'll start to you'll have to plateau somewhere. You'll have to find where it's feasible to keep a good win percentage. Especially if you're playing in these more lucrative. Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't seem that friendly versus competitive. That's kind of awkward that when I started playing MTGO, actually, there was a thing called the Gold Room. You had to have an 1800 rating, and it had better prizes. It was like an extra pack. So instead of the split it being 8-4, they used to, a lot of the queues were like 8-man queues, so they'd pay out like 4-3-2-2. Or when you started, they still do that? Where there was
yes.
Okay.
There was no select 1800 plus club at that time.
Oh yeah, that has been gone. Do you know why they got rid of that too? It was bullying. Huh? They got rid of that because of bullying.
Really?
No joke. It was Wizards thought that people were being harassed because they weren't golden. Because it used to be that way, though. People, you could see it on their profile and like, oh, shut up 17 or shut up 1600 scrub. You'd get all the time, and that kind of and. So they got rid of it. They got rid of kind of the rating. You can still find your rating on your profile on MTGO. It's just private. Right. And but that used to be a thing. There used to be an 1800 room, and it got like an extra pack. So instead of 8-4, it would be like 9-4, or whatnot.
I read too that it was causing people in the 1800 club to play less in order to keep that status.
Yes, and spoof a lot of times, or bribe to stay up there. Yeah, I remember playing a guy and he was really close, like 1789. He's like, dude, I will give you all 8 packs if you just let me win this one. And, I'm like, hell yeah, type thing. And so you were supposed to report that kind of stuff, but who's going to do that? I mean, bribing was huge, or splitting, like type thing. There were so many times that people would, just so they could get into another queue too, they'd just hurry and split the prize. Like, so, yeah.
I think that's part of the problem with Magic Online, though, and why it isn't growing. It's not blossoming as it should, and I think that's one of MTG Arena's appeals is that you can be an average player, you can be a bad player, and you can still just play games for free and just have fun. Whereas on MTGO, like it's oftentimes kind of difficult to. You can, but people love like ladders and rankings. Like people crave that. Even in StarCraft 2, like people still want to be placed in Silver League or Bronze League or Gold League, even though they aren't Platinum or Diamond or Masters or Grand Masters, right? So people like to be in a ladder. People like to be in a competitive setting. And yeah, like MTGO makes that very difficult to do if you're only like an average to good player, and you're on a budget.
Yep.
The way to overcome this, right? There are 2 ways to overcome it. There's the way that I try to employ, which is to invest and to try to be smart with the money in order to it's to do a speculation strategy, which is much easier to do online than it is in paper.
Absolutely. Well, little backstory about that too. I tried to be a grinder. I remember one time my win percentage was quite high. We're talking 68 upwards. And I remember I was constantly still feeding money into MTGO. And I think that was one of the days that I decided that, I'm going to go bankrupt throwing, hundreds of dollars in MTGO, per month, just trying to stay, I was winning too. It wasn't like I was doing terrible. And back in, this is still back when you get those strings of torment where you win an entire thing and it's 80 cents per pack. And so there's no way you'd have to have an insane win rate at that point. But yeah, speculation, just for everyone that's speculation, my Stony Silence is still feeding me to this day. I haven't spent money on MTGO since that Stony Silence spec, and that was years ago. So
what was the...
I got in at like 5 cents a piece on Stony Silence. Actually got a lot of flack from people telling me I was an idiot.
Copies, though? How many copies?
Hundreds.
Okay,
And I sold out at $2 and between 2 and 3 is what I sold the Stony Silence out. I didn't even wait till they're up to 5 or 6 or whatever they got to.
You should never wait. I definitely think it's wise to. Yeah, I don't know. This is why when I invest, I always set a target on my spreadsheet. I always set a target, but I don't literally mean like this is a price at which I'm hoping to reach. It's a target, meaning when I reach it, I force myself to sell it, even if I think that it's going to still go up. I don't force myself to sell all of them, but I force myself to sell like at least a quarter of them, just to keep me honest, just to make sure that I'm not being too greedy and not like just not keeping my wits about me,
Yeah, because people don't understand. You've already made it, like with me, from 5 cents to $2. What else was I going to expect? I mean, yes, because going from that $1 to $2 was just important as that going from the $2 to $4 at that point, percentage-wise of an investment. And yeah, it's more risky once they actually start, especially now with treasure chests. It's very risky to hold on to cards that, like we were talking about earlier, they're starting to include almost everything above the $2 mark in their curated list. So at that point, they're going to start these treasures are really going to regulate. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to have some crazy specs that I've had in the past. So there's been a lot of times I've kicked myself because I've gone in on something like True Name Nemesis, for example, and I'm like, man, I only bought 4 of them. Why did I only buy 4? At I think it was like 13 tickets I got in on them because I just, wanted to mess around with them, and then go up to 70 and you start. But that's right now. I think some of the ones that I was you don't like to go into post rotation though, do you? Because I'm checking those. I think it might be time to even sell. I put a lot of money into Mattery Shapers. Mattery Shapers in Thought-Knots.
So I was tempted to do that speculation. I chose just to do Collective Brutalities and Eldrazi Displacers. But Thought-Knots here, Matter Reshaper didn't.
Looks like they've gone back down. They did go back. Yep. Okay.
Well, they're all going back down, but all of them are still higher than they were, at rotation.
Yeah.
They're all still higher, and I suspect that there's room for growth on all of them. I'm still hesitant to. I'm a little low. First of all, I'm a little low. I feel like if I had more loose capital, I would buy 8 to 12 Thought-Knot Seers.
Mm-hmm.
But a $10, that's about $100 investment. So.
Yeah, well, I don't like Thought-Knot Seer because I think the stats don't add up to. I think price memory is really serving with Thought-Knot Seers. I don't think people want to sell them a lot of times, because if you actually look at how this here, I guess since we're just shooting the breeze here, one of my speculation ones is just to go over to Goldfish and just look at like the metagame breakdown and then the format staples too, and just look at the percentage. If you actually look at Mattery Shaper, even Eldrazi Displacer, they are in almost as many decks as Thought-Knot Seer is in. And I understand Thought-Knot Seer's in every one of them, and a few decks that the ones aren't in, but it's not the spread between them isn't that great to how many decks they're ran in versus. So that's why I like kind of the lower end targets.
That's an interesting case. Like, do you spec in the cards where they're an automatic 4 of in every list, or do you spec in the ones like Eldrazi Displacer that are in a lot of different lists, but sometimes they're not play sets. They're not full play sets. It kind of depends. I have a good amount of faith that Tron will continue. Oh, and none of those cards are in the are on the curated list for treasure chests, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think so either. I was checking it when it.
That's the other thing. Yeah. So for your listeners, treasure chests when they started were almost exclusively modern and eternal staples, which is why it's been less like it's been harder to buy, or it's easier to buy into older decks like Legacy, as I just recently bought into, or Modern, because the price is lower and has been going down steadily for the past year or so. But you know that when you buy into it, you're still going to lose more money on it. For example, I just bought Explorations for lands in Legacy, and and I bought them at 60 a pop, right? And now they're already at like 50. And I don't know how low they're going to go, but I'm afraid, I am legitimately afraid that I will have spent, just a lot of money without being able to recoup without having that value carry over as the months and years go by, because of treasure chests, because of the constant infusion into the market. Treasure chests depend on more people playing, more people joining MTGO and playing in order to keep the prices stable. And I don't know, it's hard to predict whether that'll be the case, and especially with Arena on the horizon, how Wizards chooses to use MTG Arena. Is it more like Hearthstone, or will it be more like a total Magic experience?
Yeah,
it's hard to.
The market is still, we have no clue. They've been so hush-hush about exactly how they want that to be ran.
Well, we have no. They've been pretty clear, I think, on it. It's going to be exactly like Hearthstone in terms of the economics.
Except I didn't know how recycling, because I've heard people even say that they don't even think that the Hearthstone, a lot of the ways you earn cards, if you don't like the cards, you recycle them.
And of course, yeah. They've said that they're not at the moment trying to implement that in the game.
There's been some rumors, like they were like traded. I think they've even backed away from like, are these going to be tradable? Are these not going to be tradable? It's just it's hard to get a straight answer from Wizards, and same thing with Wizards, always flip flopping on everything they've ever done. I don't know if we're going to get a straight answer and then all of a sudden have them change it. So
that's too fundamental to the economic model to just randomly change. You can't present that to a board of investors without an economic model, in place, right? The whole reason they're building MTG Arena is to make money. It's a money making strategy that they present to a board, right? That's why they do everything. But for something that requires such a strong initial investment, I don't know how much this game costs, but I'm sure it costs a lot of money to make. So that they're going into it with all sorts of economic models and projections and predictions, and that and they can't just flip flop on an economic model. So I don't think that they're open to changing whatever they're like. What my impression was that they're running it just like Hearthstone, which means that you can't trade. Nothing is tradable, and I assume that you could burn things into dust and then craft the cards that you want to play with or something. And the way that those games make they make money a few different ways, but it demands that you play the game. Like I wrote an article on this actually for Quiet Speculation, and Hearthstone works where if you play 600 hours per year and you spend $250, you'll have 95% of the standard cards, right? You'll have 95% of the normal cards. And I suspect like that's roughly what it would be for Magic Online, or excuse me, for MTG Arena, where I mean if they don't allow you to dust your cards, then the cost of it will just skyrocket. If you want to play standard, if you want to just play with random cards, then it's going to be very, very cheap, That's kind of what my expectation is that like, their equivalent of the StarCraft 2 leagues, like their bronze and silver players will just be the players who aren't really putting in any money, and then the gold and platinum, and diamond players are the ones who are putting in more money to keep up with standard, or just tons of time, right? Um, that's what's kind of interesting, is that Magic Online and Magic and Paper, they're not focused on the players who play tons of time, like other games, like World of Warcraft or Hearthstone, or other things. They're more about like the players who are able to pay an upfront cost, and then play. I don't know. I don't know how much your average Magic player plays per week, but it's probably no more than 20 hours.
Yeah,
it's probably I don't know. It's probably like I would guess something like 5 to 10. Is that right? Is that wrong?
no, I would say
Know.
that, like most people that I know around that I know that play MTGO in this area, they do a couple of drafts a week maybe, is all.
Oh, but what about in paper, right? Like
Oh,
what does your average paper player play?
yeah.
In terms of hours per week?
Oh, it's hard to. Well, I would say most people just show up for F&M. To be honest,
Yeah.
some
So
people's
yeah,
extent to playing. If you want to
it's
go to the
just
average,
yeah, that's what I would expect. Yeah, and that's something that's just totally different from what Arena will
yeah,
allow
yep,
for. Arena will demand your time if you want a traditional Magic experience, which is the basic argument of my article was precisely that Arena will demand more of your time and more of your money if you want the traditional Magic experience, of playing like tier one or tier two standard decks, and drafting's a little hazy. I'm a little uncertain about how they're going to implement drafting. Is it going to be real draft, or is it going to be like Hearthstone draft? But I don't know about limited, how they're going to do it, but definitely for constructed. Constructed on MTG Arena for the majority of people, I think will be very different from constructed at F&M or at any other level. PPTQ, PTQ. I think it's going to be a lot more casual.
yeah.
Uh, Casual decks, which is, in some ways that's good, because that'll get more people into the game. I think that's their goal. I guess that'd be their goal. I hope that's their goal, is to get is to broaden the player base.
Me too. And I hope that they still keep that with MTGO being the premier competitive place to play, and the arena just to be like a Hearthstone type experience. That's what's frustrating me most, is kind of as a person that uses MTGO almost exclusively to do my YouTube content. I don't think I'm going to have the same experience. That I've never liked Hearthstone for that reason. It's just more of a casual type. I'm not interested in the booms and the bangs a lot of people have been saying, okay, if we're going to get it like Hearthstone for Arena, we've got to because look at a lot of people that play on MTGO right now with that 25-minute time clock that everyone has. That gets very boring to watch when people are using every second to their advantage. Whereas in Hearthstone, you have to play a lot quicker. And there have been rumors that Arena is going to be set that way. And if you've been watching some of the people play at the moment on the kind of the alpha phase in Arena, that's what it kind of looks like as well. So I actually hope they keep both platforms open, but there has been some murmuring about that, and I'll get into that in a second. But
Oh
going
no,
back to your how Hearthstone economy, do you watch Kibler at all on his YouTube channel?
I don't. I mean, I just don't watch Hearthstone. I
No, well,
just
neither
don't.
do I. I don't
I
know
don't
how I
find it.
randomly got Kibler. He was explaining about the new set that's coming out, and I guess people they're really upset that it's going to take a lot longer than previously to grind out the cards you need. And there's a lot of Hearthstone players that just want to pay for everything now rather than try to acquire the cards.
Well,
And
I think that's why Wizards is going to the 4 large sets per year instead of a large small.
uh huh,
I suspect, at least. Like that's like when I saw that, I was like, oh well, that, I mean, just from a storytelling perspective, it's much like it just makes more sense to have. Uh, I don't know. I mean, just like going back to Aristotle, like you need some build up to a climax, which usually demands like set one, set at minimum, set one, set two, right, to tell a story. Um, but here we're kind of introducing, I think, like the plan is to more often than not to do one world, visit a new world, and they're mechanically different. So I mean, I guess they could do the same world, set one, set two, but too large. But I mean, it's just storytelling is much easier when grouped into, you know, when grouped into different acts.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell a story in one act. So the rationale that it made the story better didn't resonate with me. I'm not sure that that's actually why they're changing to, you know, a large cycle. Or it's not even a cycle, it's just, you know, everything is large. I suspect it had more to do with the fact that like Hearthstone, when you add more cards to a set, it becomes harder in the, you know, in this Hearthstone MTG Arena economic model. It becomes harder to get all the cards without paying, right? And you have to, you know, and so it becomes, it's a financial incentive to make all sets large, because then it costs more money to play online.
So speaking of the Dusty, are you one of those that have speculated on possibly MTGO cards being able to be dusted towards Arena cards?
No, I don't think that'll ever. I mean, I don't think they're going to shut down MTGO.
Not shut down, just be able to dust them.
Like, well, that's de facto shutting it down. But no, and I definitely wouldn't ever recommend that we speculate on cards for the sake of.
I've tiptoed in that just because I have, you know, like I said, it's nothing major. But if you notice,
so you bought. Wait. So have you bought thousands of like a card that costs under a penny?
Yes. Yes. Okay, really? So if you check over on MTG Goldfish and you see some of these spikes from 1 cent to 2 cent on the Mythics, yeah, that was me for a while.
It's you.
And I didn't spend anything. I didn't maybe $10. But you know, like you said, with a penny a piece, I actually was buying.
That's my favorite investment strategy, is speculate. I mean, I don't do it for those. You know, I would never do that. But like, you know, speculating on the sensors, on the Merfolk branch walkers, like those are the things, because, you know, I mean, I've bought 100 Merfolk branch walker. It cost me 12 cents to do it. Like so something just completely insignificant, right? Like if I never sell the Merfolk branch walkers, I'm totally fine losing 12 cents. Right? If they ever go up to like 25 or 30 cents, and I can, you know, I mean, and that's, I think they might go up to that, right? Just at 30 cents, you sell it back for 15. I mean, you've made $15. Like you've paid for a draft with no effort, right? Like that's how I view it, at least. But the I wish that they were doing a hex model for. Hex being another digital card game, like, you know, like Hearthstone, where there's a free-to-play portion, and that kind of feeds into the pay-to-play portion. That's more like Magic, you know. And you know, it'd be like incorporating MTG Arena into MTGO and making them like one program.
That's what I've been calling for forever, though. I don't know.
They may do that, like, you know, I don't know. It's hard to predict these things, and they only release things when they want to release them. You know, they only want to give you information when they want to give it to you. But at the moment, to me, Arena looks like something that is going to broaden the appeal of Magic, bring in new players, and I don't know if it'll be the primary place where people play Standard, like they're saying. To me, I suspect that streaming, that will be the case, because they will give all the cards to all the pros. I suspect that every person who is gold, platinum, or pro, I guess pro status is platinum status, but whatever, like people in silver, gold, platinum, like those guys will just get all of the cards for all the sets, so they don't have to, like, to incentivize that they play on the platform. Because I don't think that people like you and me are going to. I don't think it's feasible for people like you, or I doubt it will be feasible for people like you and me to play on MTG Arena and not MTGO. I suspect that MTGO will be just fine. And my hope, this I don't know, but my hope is that, you know, MTG Arena will cause an uptick in the number of people who play Magic
Yeah.
Online.
Yep.
They'll learn the game and then they'll be more comfortable on Magic Online. That's what I'm praying for, at least.
Me too. Me too. I'm trying to stay as optimistic as possible. In fact, with all the the kerfunkle that's gone on this whole weekend, I'm one of the ones that I'm trying to stay as positive as humanly possible, and especially if we go into this kind of crazy going back to paper. I'm gonna probably release the screenshots coming up in a few days of the Facebook page. They have a closed group for only people that are part of the WPN network, and it's Armageddon happening right now. Like, a lot of store owners are almost about ready just to call it quits. It's almost
because
exclusive negativity right now. Because of Q4, they flooded the market with Iconic Masters, with From the Vaults, with a board game, the Explorers of Ixalan, with an unset, with
and they
and they have
and they
25 coming out.
They force, right, if I remember from what Rudy was saying, they force y'all to buy these products before y'all know what's in them.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so you just assume that it's good.
Sort of. Well, you don't have to buy them. That's the whole thing. That's kind of misleading. But if you want to make a good relationship with your distributors, if you're gonna say that distributors don't get the product unless they have game stores that want it. So when I go to buy a certain product, like a pre-release, I have to say, do I want it from Wizards or do I want it from Alliance or another distributor? And then I have to, so there'll be a little pull down menu right there at your allotment on the WPN. Okay, who do you want us to send your allotment to? So do you want to buy it directly from us? Do you want to go? So a lot of times distributors are like, please choose us. So they'll do these like incentive packages. So if you choose them, they buy the product from Wizards, not you. They probably get even another discount on that. They get the product and then you're supposed to buy it from them. And they're supposed to hold it for you. But if you don't buy it, it's theirs. And in the past, distributors have loved you just to pick them, even if you don't have any intentions to buy it. Just because it allows them then to go and sell it off to someone else that wants it. So, but now distributors are getting stuck. My distributor is selling me Iconic Masters for the same price that Wizards will sell it to me. That is when you know that something is a huge problem. When my distributors, usually the other Master sets, they start inflating the price. It's like, it was Modern Masters 3? We got a good deal on the first bit of it from the distributors. And like, nah, how about pay us, $147 a box for it now? Because they had lots of demand. So, of course, they're going to try to, find the best price for it. But, it's getting really scary in the paper market. And then with Arena, it's getting very uncertain also in the digital market. But I'm more optimistic like you are. I think that there is people like, what's the MTGO traders? Heath. I can't remember. I've talked to him personally. I can't remember his name.
Nathan is someone at MTGO traders,
Heath,
I believe.
It's Heath something. Heath. Anyway.
Well, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but how much money do you think he has in this platform? And he's a big member of the community. He sponsors a lot of the pros. If they're just going to say, well, have fun with all that, all of this now worthless stuff on our digital thing, it's going to leave a bad taste in people's mouth, and it's going to be hard for them to garner support that they need for their other online platform. At least that's my suspicion of why they need to really cultivate a healthy MTGO appeal later on.
I'm definitely more optimistic. Yeah, I'm definitely on the optimistic side, and there are some real flaws with the model of with the economic model of MTGO. Primarily, I think we've already touched on it, which is that it's really hard to not be great and play it, or it's really hard. Like, you either have to be great or rich, right? It's one of those two. You have to be really good or really rich, and that shuts out a lot of people. And so there has to be some way, and I think Hex does this quite well. Like, there has to be some way to get all players able to play the game, and then either get them improved to where they can play the other version, to where they can play competitively, or just have an ecosystem like StarCraft 2 or Hex where, like, it's okay to play casually, right? And I think I think MTG Arena plus MTGO combined could have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
full cycle, full range of player experience, which would be good,
I definitely agree with you.
and helpful for the community, just and helpful for their bottom line. I think it just would be good for everyone. So to me, it's so obvious that it's like something that they should do, but I don't know. I mean,
It's Wizards, so
well,
sometimes the
yeah,
obvious is.
the one thing that I haven't, yeah, I mean, what I'm hoping for is definitely not what they're saying it is, right? What they're kind of bifurcating standard and limited being for MTG Arena and modern and legacy and vintage being for MTGO. That seems to be their, like, that's what they're branding it and selling it as now, and I just the economics of it just doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. And that's what I've been saying about flip flopping. Is in we've like, okay, so because I remember I asked very specific questions on my Twitter to one of them, and they were replying back to me back and forth. I'm like, so there's going to be no standard? Oh no, there's definitely going to be standard on MTGO as well. I'm like, okay, then what was that comment about? But there's not gonna be focus on standard. Oh no, there's definitely you can continue to do everything. So what's the point then of Arena or MTG? It was just very hard to get a straight answer from them. But again, I still think that they should make some. They should bring MTGO up into the latest decade though for gaming. It's kind of a shame that they don't have anything that every game has these days with like. What I thought could be, speaking more of the casual players, or if you notice that they've had kind of their crusade against their own net decking with hiding information, threatening, first they threatened Star City Games, then they threatened Goldfish, and then they just proactively started taking down their own data for the 5.0 lists and what like that. Why don't they just do like daily challenges where you use a particular card? Or see, I come from a Dota. Magic's actually my second favorite game. My favorite game's called Dota, Defense of the Ancients, which is 100% free to play platform. You don't pay for a damn thing in the game. Not everyone has. You can download the game right now, and you won't have to pay a cent. You won't get. I'm not even saying that the entire game is free to play. The only thing that you would pay for if you wanted to was just aesthetic stuff. But how they make money is they release these things called compendiums, and or just people buying and selling on the market. They take a cut of everything. But compendiums are just like little paths that you can take where you can do different. I can't think of the word, but like for example, deal 9,000 physical damage in a game. And then if you do that, oh, you got that. And once you completed all these steps, you get this like reward at the end. And I always thought that would be a way to cultivate the casual players in MTGO, to give little paths you can take. Like, oh, we want people to win a card with the flip search for Azcanta 10 times. And achievements. That's what I'm looking for. Achievements. Every other game, every even little game that is on a phone is up to this last decade, and it's kind of a shame that MTGO hasn't done that. But
I think I don't know if let's assume for a second, which I don't know if I'm personally willing to do this, but let's assume for a second that they're wanting to do exactly what they're saying that they're wanting to do, which is to do this bifurcation process, where MTG Arena is the place where we all play limited and standard, and Magic Online is the place where we all play modern, legacy, and vintage, and cubing and flashbacks and whatnot. If that's the case, then and excuse me, if that's the case, and they want to, and they want to do that, I'm not wholly sold. Well, I just think that that's going to make it to where a lot of players like you and me just can't play standard, at least, can't play limited and standard, because it either requires too much time or too much money. It just seems like it's for a totally different. It seems like it's for a totally different audience.
Yeah, Yeah, so why don't they embrace that then? That's what I'm exactly saying. I hope that they take this to heart. They want criticism. I'm going to try to be involved in the beta and whatnot, but I actually want to stream both. Like, I think there's huge advantages to, like, my series for Gathering Magic. I don't want to do it on Arena with all the booms and the bangs and the little effects. I think it's messy. It's when I'm trying to talk to my audience. My videos are, I would hope, are more of an educational thing of how to play a deck, not entertainment so much. Whereas I know that some people, that's why I don't stream. If I wanted to do that, I'd stream instead of tape videos. Whereas if I do want to stream, yes, I'm going to hop on Arena and just have all the booms and that sort of thing. So
sorry, I lost my train of thought prior.
Sure.
What I meant, or what I had wanted to say, is that I hope that the void that they kind of create, and the mistake that I think it would be to do that bifurcation, I hope that they take that and use it as a lesson to then move forward towards updating and upgrading MTGO and then incorporating that into Arena.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping that even if they fully intend on doing what they're telling us that they're intending on doing, I hope that they can then, even after they've done that step, I'm hoping that eventually they will look to bridging them together. Eventually, that's what I hope for.
Well, that's kind of, I guess, with the where we're at with the at least the market. We didn't get in much market here with this. Let's just finish off with, let's just talk about treasures in general. I guess that's how we wanted to start with this. You talked some interesting things that I didn't. I think that if you're going to be a speculator, I've talked about this in some of my Market Money videos before in MTGO, the most important thing is this curated list, which is actually kind of tough to find with Google searches. I don't think I'm even going to attempt it today because of how the Wizards website works.
I find the Wizards website is just horrendous. Like whenever I'm looking for something, I can never find it. And the treasure chest, if you just Google treasure chest MTGO Wizards, then you get several different pages, most of which are just like updates. Most of which are just updates where they show the changes to the curated list. They don't actually show the curated list in its entirety. You have to go to like a details page, which all the pages do link to now. I don't think they did before, which made it almost
yes. That was my problem. I was trying to do it one day and I could find all these old ones, and then I was trying to like compare the two, and then I found someone on Reddit had done a spreadsheet. I'm like, thank you, you're the hero.
There is one guy who. There's also someone on Pure MTGO or Pure MTGO is a series, right?
Yeah, that's on MTGO Traders, right? Pure MTGO, don't they?
Yes. There's one guy on there who does this treasure chest data, which is always phenomenal. And then there's another guy who always analyzes the next limited format by a bunch of quantitative analyses, or he uses quantitative metrics, like what's the average converted mana cost of the creature, what's the average power and toughness, importantly which power, like, is toughness on average higher than power, is power on average higher than toughness. And then he always shows this graph where it's like, oh, so Ixalan is most like, it was like Born of the Gods or Theros or something, right? And so you can kind of learn a bit about the format from a quantitative perspective. Like those two guys, the guy who does the limited release for every set and the guy who does the treasure chest update, I find those are just really solid.
Yeah. MTGO Traders, that's definitely go check out I also like one of the series where he does State of the Program. Those are really good too on MTGO. Do you ever check that one on MTGO Traders? Yeah, I could throw that one up for everyone.
But anyway, the most the important thing for the curator list now is that before, for those of y'all listening who are interested in speculating on MTGO or who already do, before, the curated list was much more focused on eternal things like Pauper, Legacy, Vintage, Modern, and now because the price of treasure chests has plummeted, started out around 4, and then at the end of at the end of Hour of Devastation, so in September. It was actually like at the point at which constructed was no longer positive expected value. Mm-hmm. And positive expected value in constructed is really important for maintaining the Magic Online economy. because as you were saying, Kevin, earlier, when booster packs were very low, and like you had a really high win rate and still weren't making a lot of money. What that does is it causes you, the constructed player, to stop playing, which then causes this downward spiral, because then you stop playing, which then makes there more cards in the market, which then causes another person to stop playing, and it's a death spiral. It causes a death spiral. So you absolutely have to keep the constructed EV positive. So what they're doing now is they're putting more standard cards into it, and by more I mean like most of the valuable cards in standard are now in the treasure chest at some frequency. Most of the ones that cost $10 or more are at 12 frequency, which I guess we don't want to get too much into this. That like we can just say that like that's kind of like making it an uncommon or so. Like in the curated list, like the highest is like 24. It goes like 24, 12, 6 are the ratios that are typical.
Mm-hmm.
And cards that cost between $2 and $10 are usually at 6. So anyway, there are very few cards in standard that are not on this list that that meet these dollar value benchmarks. Glint Sleeve Siphoner is not on the list. I don't believe Fumigate is on the list. Ronas is not on the list. But for the most part, all the standard cards are on the list, which means that standard investment is not going to be as lucrative. Or I mean, it's hard to fully predict these things without having like seen a history of it, because we're in uncharted territory here. This is brand new. But standard investment will not be as strong or as reliable as it used to be. Which I still think that it's the best thing to do and the most strong and the most reliable, but I don't think that inevitably the margins are going to be a little less. Like the card that would have spiked to $7 now spikes to $6, right? The card that used to have a floor. It's going to be worse for the cards that cost, like Scarab God is a good one, right? Like Scarab God 6 months from now probably could have been like Jace Vryn's Prodigy, like $75, right? So right? So there would be, if we weren't in a treasure chest world, there might be some incentive to hold. Right now it's at like $30, right? But now, because it's being pumped, I think its frequency is 12 or 20. I would definitely not. I would definitely be selling if you're not using it.
It's about 18 if you add the two together. We have a 12 and a 6.
Okay, yeah, we have a 12 and a 6.
Yeah, I've been pulling up everything as you. This actually was pretty good. I've been pulling up everything as you. I've been talking about it on the screen. I know I haven't shared the screen with you, but yeah. Okay. That's it. How does this change though? Since when I used to be a speculator, the first thing I would check in the morning is I'd go over to the Goldfish's decks and try to find unique decks that are popping up and get ahead of the price spikes. So for example, like, oh, look, there's a new St. Marty vehicles. All of a sudden I saw like 10 of them show up. With the limited data, I think that also affects the way that I've been speccing into standard cards too. It's just made it a lot tougher with both treasure chests. It seems to me like nowadays you have to memorize this curator's list, or really, really use the find function here before you invest in a card, see if it's on there. That's awesome you didn't see Glint Sleeve Siphoner, because that's a card that's heavily used that is from a second set. That I like second sets, of course, more than first sets because the supply is dismally lower. Yeah, look at that. The card might still have more potential.
You should. I assume it's the same in paper.
Yes.
I've seen your heuristics, and yeah, I mean it's the same in Magic Online. Second sets are definitely better. I definitely think I've over committed money to Ixalan. I should definitely have probably kept the dollar amount to like $300 instead of like $5. I think I got a little carried away with Legion's Landing and Jace, although I do think Jace is very good. So I think Jace will go up at some point.
I thought that about Dovin.
Anyway, I definitely, well, no, I think Jace is better than Dovin, but um, just like costing 3 versus costing 4 is a big deal, and I also think that blue is aggressive in this block. So I do expect that blue will get some nice tools in the next set. Especially, oh, I mean, even with Merfolk, right? Like, we're getting the reprint Silvergill Adept,
Hmm.
right? So, if Merfolk is a thing, I could definitely see Jace being in there. But anyway, like about your strategy of looking at the metadata, um, or excuse me, the metagame, and seeing like potential shifts in it, and then speculating on that, like that can still be fruitful. For example, Matt Lewis, another writer for Quiet Speculation, he did that with Nissa, Steward of Elements, and sure enough, it like he was like, oh, I looked at the Pro Tour lists, and like, some of them were running Nissa, and so I was like, oh, but Nissa hasn't moved yet, but it should move in response to this, and yeah, it moved.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't do that as much as I guess I should. I do that a little bit, but I tend to be a little more of a fundamentals guy, so
Hmm.
I tend to like invest when the sets are low and then try to
Yeah,
sell. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I,
definitely.
I guess I'm a little more conservative, as is Matt. The MTGO riders are for Quiet Speculation. We have two of us are more fundamentals guys, and then the newest person is Adrian. I'm forgetting what his last name is, but Adrian is definitely the guy who focuses on the sort of like the metagame, and predicting the metagame,
Hmm.
and speculating based on that. So, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see like other people's approaches and how they differ. Um, I Yeah, and I definitely learned from them, because their approach is definitely different than how I got into MTGO finance. Um, and yours, right? Like you were doing the flashback things, and I noticed those trends. I lacked some of the confidence.
Hmm.
Um, Now, and I do think that strategy is dead. With treasure chests, the flashbacks are not like just prime
Yeah, yeah, I think you'd
speculation.
have to find ones that aren't on the lists at all with flashback. And like we were talking earlier before we started uh, recording,
Record.
that it's just a lot, modern speculation is really tough, because I used to be able, one of my best strategies was trying to get ahead of the hype on cards, so there'd be a flavor of the week deck, and it just because you could find these extremely low supply cards that all of a sudden spike up to a lot of money, just because people were Hercule's Recall, I think, was one that I looked at when it wasn't seeing any play, and then all of a sudden and this is a bad example because now it's become sort of a staple in the online format. But as a card, I'm pulling up here
I,
on my screen. They went up to $60 because it was down to very low at one point, just because it started seeing it as a 2 of or a 1 of in a sideboard, that there was no supply out there. And so, but now when every rare is on the chance for you to get out of a treasure, I mean, that's a huge chunk of the modern rare mythic slot. That's a whole slot in the treasure chest. You're going to get a rare mythic from a modern set as one of the options. It's even taking cards like Hercule Recalls now down to pretty stabilized. It
that's
just
yeah.
next to nothing. This doesn't even exist on their list. Oh, it is. It's a 12. Okay, but I've noticed that some of
Hercules
these
Recall. Hercules Recall's a 12.
yeah.
Wow. They've been culling the list of the dead chaff. They've been clearing. It's like a
Finally,
forest.
because
They're
isn't that what
they're
happened? Didn't it get down to like 1.7? Is that how low the treasures got to?
Oh, I don't know if they got that low.
Okay.
That like I don't think Lee Sharp would ever allow the chest to get below 2, because that's roughly the break even point.
Hmm.
I think he would sound the alarm, and like add in an extended downtime and change the curated list.
There was a lot of cards that I thought there were on their high frequencies that had no business being there for as long as they were, and that's what was really frustrating to me. I'm like, man, they need to put this on here. This is the card they need to throw on
You
to
know,
stabilize these prices, and then it's just, I'm
I
hoping
wish
they're better at that.
if you read my article, you'll see what my preferred solution is to treasures. Like I would like my preference would be to allow us to dust any to dust any like 100 commons into the equivalent of 10
Please
play
hope you're
points.
right.
I mean, and like the same with uncommons and rares at different ratios, because that accomplishes like a similar that accomplishes the goal of not having the MTGO economy crash, which was kind of a stated goal of play points and well, treasure chest is just, I guess treasure chests kind of do that as well, like because they're not paying out in boosters and play points, that then keeps like Ixalan prices higher, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that it definitely weakens the strength of the overall MTGO
Yeah.
market. And dusting would actually strengthen the MTGO.
Yeah, it would make a mythic. Opening a mythic wouldn't feel as bad as when you go and look it up and it's worth absolutely nothing.
And that too, right? Because every mythic would be worth like at least a quarter.
Yes. Well, I'm banking on that. That's another reason. For what you said, and just the slight chance that we might be able to fund my new arena account. That's why I've been investing in them.
The reason why they're not doing that though is because treasure chests don't hurt their bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
whereas dusting would, because treasure chests is allowing the dusting, meaning that I mean it's not the dusting that directly would hurt the bottom line, but the fact that they're paying out in current boosters and current play points, like that would hurt their bottom line, whereas treasure chests is literally like giving you other people's money in a way, right? Because it's lowering the value of other people's collections to make yours a little more valuable, with cards, right? So Wizards doesn't have to actually give, using treasure chests, Wizards doesn't have to give as much of a payout structure. They don't have to give as much of a payout. Whereas giving out boosters and play points does, through this economy, ultimately what would happen is that more sets would be redeemed and therefore less paper products sold, right? So so the way that they've, treasure chests kind of clamped down on that, by reducing the number of sets redeemed, because it keeps Ixalan booster prices high, it keeps Ixalan card prices higher, and it lets them continue to use that the updated redemption fee of $25 instead of $5, which was done like 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
It's been a while, because it's been forever. I used to redeem sets just because it was. I actually before I even joined.
I've thought about redeeming Ixalan because the ratio is so good. The ratio I call it like the online paper multiplier or something. I forget what exactly I term it, but hours in Amonkhet were very high as well. When you don't have masterpieces, it really helps, I find. But Ixalan, I think, is even higher than hours was, and it just makes it so lucrative to sell. I like the paper Ixalan cards. I think it's at least triple, if not more. No, it is more. Excuse me, it definitely is more. I think it's probably like a 3.5 multiplier. So if you redeem the sets, you definitely can make a lot of money, and you especially as a store owner, I mean, you would directly benefit, whereas I would have to sell it more inefficiently. But even I was considering doing this. I guess I kind of still am, but it's definitely a lot of hassle. I'd have to sell it. I live in Toronto now, so it's impossible to do it, but I do go home to Houston for Christmas, so I could sell it then. But I don't know. I haven't bitten the bullet, but you definitely should. I think.
It's it's still cheaper for me to get product directly from Wizards and open it to get.
Yeah.
That's true. I even talked about like when I was writing a little bit. I did a couple video series for MTGO traders, and I told them, hey, I wouldn't be against you paying me in just complete sets that you've redeemed? He's like, we don't do that. We don't redeem. And I'm like, wow, even MTGO traders don't redeem when they're getting it at even cheaper price than you and I could get it from.
They don't redeem?
No.
They should definitely redeem.
No, he says it's not profitable.
What do you mean it's not? Wait,
Heath Newton's his name. Is it? Yeah, it's not profitable for him to redeem sets and sell them on the eBay and stuff like that. He actually even has a store. I can't remember which store is MTGO traders in real life. Is it Cape Fear? I think it's Cape Fear Games is MTGO.
It's not that it is his reasoning that
his reasoning was it's not profitable.
Not well. You mean not more profitable than keeping them on?
Just
on
not
his
profitable.
box.
He told me it was not profitable for him to redeem sets and try to turn it into paper. And if you actually look at it, people sell the eBay complete sets for quite a bit, or quite the margins for quite small.
Really?
Because as you can see, you can see like I have the Ixalan stats up here right now. It's set on paper at $71.40 to get a complete set, or sorry for MTGO.
It's actually less. It's actually less. You have to take $9.50 or so off because of the fake cards.
Okay.
The Planeswalker deck cards. Yeah. Every set you have to subtract out a certain number.
And then it's $230 for complete set. But let's go over here to eBay and see what these people are selling a complete factory sealed eBay Ixalan set. See if anyone still used to do this, because I kind of used to do this at the time. 109. 109. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's where you think you see the spread, and that's what I keep telling people too. By the time, like a lot of times, the $1 and $2 cards are not very profitable unless you are a store owner. Because I love $1, $2 cards. If you actually look at my Cardsphere account, I actually convert masterpieces into $1, $2 cards because they're easier for me to move at my store, because I can get full value on a $2 card. The rest of you, good luck. Good luck. By the time you sell it on eBay, you're looking at losses in a lot of the $1, $2 cards. So, yeah. So here's a foil Ixalan set for $327. A bunch 109. Yeah, I don't understand some of these eBay stores. They literally work on nothing, because by the time you have the $25 fee on that, and then what do they charge? $5 shipping still?
No. In the U.S., the shipping's free.
There used to be a one-time shipping no matter how many you. When I used to redeem sets, it was like a $5 shipping, and then it was a $10 per set when I did it. I believe when I used to redeem Ravnica sets.
You're right. I don't think it's 5 or 10. I thought it was like 3.
Yeah, we'll see.
I redeemed Fate Reforged and Cons just to have a playset of the fetches. And in paper, in case I thought I'd play more paper. I just play online now, but I thought at the time I was like, oh, I'll play more paper because I'm moving up to Toronto. But no. So anyway, so I redeemed them, but I definitely thought I was getting like a really good deal because I thought that you could actually sell.
For for people that were actually savvy, like if you wanted for a full set of all the cards, the MTGO would still probably be the right way, or even just go on eBay and buying these factory sealed ones would still be the right way. This is super cheap. Like what is like Star City Games sell a complete set for?
That does sound like a good margin, though. If you can redeem like 20 sets, then you're making $30.
Sort of. But you have to tack on eBay fees. I know this business so well, and people think it works.
I have rose-tinted glasses because I'm ignorant.
Yeah, well, do you know who Darium's? Do you ever watch Darium's CCG? He started a store he started an eBay store to fund his first local game store. Worked out of his basement, and he said that his entire profit margin was on when you got the kickback from eBay for being a super seller. So he'd work at, like, by the time that you would take all of your fees and stuff, he was breaking even, and it was like just the sheer amount of sales he would do just to get a couple $1,000s was just crazy. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he continued to do it for quite a while to do this kind of eBay business. It actually paid for 2 part-time employees. But that's all his, $100,000 sales per month was actually doing, was like maybe $2,000, when all the profits were said and done. And so it was just, Yeah,
Jeez.
that back to what we were talking about with paper magic. Why it's very scary too is Wizards also hasn't cracked down on what we call the fake stores. So it's local game stores that have access to like exclusive products and cheap boxes from Wizards that then just sell it on eBay. So I can't compete with $90 boxes. There's no way in hell. By the time I buy them from Wizards at $77.80 is what I think I get them for, $77.80. A booster box and put on eBay at 90, you're going to get 10.5% eBay fee, and then the PayPal fee. Oh, it's actually not that. It's like 8.5 or something, and then you get, but then you get the PayPal fee on top of that. It becomes about 10.5 to 11%, and there's your profit out down the drain right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then you're making like $3 a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which isn't. I mean, I assume that's not enough.
No, by the time you put your effort into it, and if eventually you're gonna get people saying they didn't get their order, it's not worth it to, like, and that's shipping it too. A lot of times you have to go free shipping on that. They do fit in like a bubble wrap envelope, so that's $5.99 flat rate. But I could get in and get it on this and on this, but it's so oversaturated right now that it's not even worth it. And I think that's exactly what MTGO Traders is trying to.
I see. He's avoiding that. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the nice things about playing Magic online is that, like, your everyday man can invest.
Mhm.
Can I don't think I'm completely abnormal in in like starting out. I think starting out, I definitely paid like $30 a month when I started out with Magic Online, but I tried to like save some of that up to like be able to start investing while still being able to play some. And now, yeah, I don't put all that much money into. I think this year I've probably averaged like 10 or 15 a month.
Well,
So I've cut the amount that I put in half, and I've played a lot more.
absolutely, that's what the goal of this channel is.
Yeah.
A lot of people think you're going to make a ton of money on MTG Finance, and it's very, very rough in this instance. But what I can say with confidence is I have not paid on MTGO now for, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years, and you can see how bad I am with my like blowing tickets to all the. I play in leagues with my crappy decks I do for Gathering Magic, so I'm losing a lot of money.
You do You do constructed more,
Uh-huh.
which is better. I'm
still $12 a pop.
Well, but going 3 and 2, you do get a little money, right? So like
3 and 2 gives you're up a treasure.
Now, yeah,
treasure chest. You're up one.
It used to be a little more surefire, but anyway. Constructed does have positive EV overall, so even if you're using like suboptimum decks or rogue decks or anything like that, or you're just testing out a new idea, you're not often going to just be completely burned.
Like going 50%, like going down $8 every time you do it with Iconic Masters.
Yeah, no. That's not happening. Right? If you go, if you play a league which is 5 matches, and you can go 2 and 3 in constructed, you're going to lose $4, right? And that's not the end of the world. Limited is where you lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's what I love limited. But I have started to play. I bought into Legacy, as I mentioned earlier, so I've begun to dabble in Legacy and try to get better. But another reason to play Construct. I mean, but Lee Sharp has designed the MTGO economy to be like this, right? It's to incentivize the herd to play Constructed, right? To generate demand for the product. So limited is what is worse. And since I play limited, I tend to lose money because I only win about 60% of my matches, which is way above average for the competitive league, but it's still not what you need to break even, right? So, but yeah, I mean the one point of investing is not to make a living off of it or to make a lot of money. Oftentimes, it's to make it an affordable hobby, which is more of what it is for me.
Yep.
Or in my case, to buy a legacy deck. Like I was able to to get the legacy deck just from the earnings from my investments. Which is nice. Like, it took 3 years to do it, you know. And I didn't have my eyes necessarily set on it. I thought I would try to buy into standard or modern more. But you know, 3 years, and I was finally had enough capital to where I could like go, oh yeah, I can now put some, you know, I can now play some, you know, some constructed. And yeah, I bought a legacy deck. I felt really good about it because I was like, yeah, I put in a lot of like, you know, speculatory work, and it paid off finally. So,
Yeah.
but you know, for, you know, like all of your listeners, it can be the same sort of story.
Well, do
You
you
know,
enjoy it? Do you enjoy investing, speculating?
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
me too. It's
I
a
do.
rush.
Yeah, like it's a fun. It's a yeah. I definitely think it's fun. It's not for someone who is. I don't know. I mean, I could see it being draining if you worry too much about
Yes.
it.
Yep.
And or if you're very I don't know, just very nervous and overly cautious. Although there are investment strategies for the overly cautious as
Hmm.
well, right? Like, you know, like sure, you know, if you don't do something more risky, then you're not going to make as much. But that's the same in life, you know. That's the
Yeah.
same, you know. When you put your money in a mutual fund, that's not going to make as much money as if you invested in Amazon in
Yeah.
1999. So same, you know, same thing applies. But I definitely think that you know, speculation and investment on Magic Online is something that everyone should, you know, is something that
Yeah.
all DGO players should do, and it's something that can help. Like, it's something that just helps soften the burden of a very expensive game. You
Same
know,
thing. I 100% mirror that in paper. There's no reason you should be hemorrhaging money. I did it before a store owner. I had an $8,000 collection stolen and recovered from that. And you know, when I hear people. Yeah, I'm thankful for all the people that hemorrhage money at this game because that's where I make my money is on people not willing to speculate, not willing to manage their collection. But yeah, I 100% mirror what you're saying. And investment strategies can be, you can find your niche. So I assume you're kind of the person that you buy in after the draft is finally done and then sell off when new players enter the formats, don't have the old cards from, like, you're going to really bank on people getting on rivals and needing Ixalan cards, for example. Or actually
yeah.
the next set,
My
Dominaria.
basic, yeah, my basic strategy, just very basic strategy, is to buy singles, you know, around the time when the sets are at their low
Mm-hmm.
points, which is always at the end of a draft format.
Yep.
You know, Ixalan was kind of weird because I thought it had bottomed out quite early, and with like Iconic Masters coming in, there's just less demand for Ixalan, and Rivals for Ixalan is pushed up another like week or two. They keep moving that winter set up,
Mm-hmm.
right? It used to be late February, then it was early February, now it's mid January.
Yep.
It's like soon it'll be on Epiphany or something, you know. Uh, and Anyway, like, you know, now I do think Ixalan has reached its low point. You know, it got just using the baseline MTG Goldfish numbers without modifying it from, you know, to take out Jace Cunning, you know, Cunning Mage, and the other one, whichever the other Planeswalker was, Hawatli Dragon Knight
Mm-hmm.
or Dinosaur Knight, right? Without taking away those cards, you know, it's now it bottomed out at like 68, and now it's back up to 71, and I just don't think I don't think it's going to budge from this range of, like, you know, 68 to 75. I think it's going to stay in that range until Rivals, and then you'll start to see it slowly go up. Similar to Amonkhet, you know, you can just look at Amonkhet, the Amonkhet cycle, or Kaladesh. Although I think Kaladesh is less good to look at because it was just so powerful that it's going to defy things. But Amonkhet's a better example of a normal cycle, right? And so I try to buy cards that I think will be good standard cards in the future at their low points. And then, you know, I try to kind of intuitively estimate, like, what is a good price to sell these cards at, and then if and when they reach those prices, I tend to sell.
Yep.
That's the basics, right, of what I do. You know, in order to minimize the risk completely, you can buy whole sets, you know, instead of choosing the cards like I do. I still take on the risk by picking and choosing the cards. I'm not buying all Ixalan cards, but I am buying, Search for Escanta and Chart a Course and Merfolk Branchwalker and Bruin Raider. I'm buying these, these cards that I think are powerful cards. So I'm making innate judgment. I'm definitely judging the cards. But yeah, I try to minimize the risk by buying by buying cards at their low points at the end of a draft format.
And yeah, that's definitely the safest way. It's just there are definitely trends in Magic the Gathering that are tried, tested, and true. They're not going anywhere. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, but that strategy is more conservative than others,
yes,
right? There
absolutely.
are others that, and it takes more. You have to be willing to sit on your investment for longer, right? Whereas if you employ strategies, as you were suggesting earlier, where you look at a card and it's starting to show up in some 5.0 lists, right? And so then you go, oh, but the card hasn't budged in its price. I bet it's I bet its demand's gonna go up. So let me buy 50 of this card right now, and I'll sell it in 3 weeks. I don't invest to sell in 3 weeks. I invest to sell in 3 to 6 months. So I definitely have to hold the capital longer, which isn't that's not as optimum, right? It's continually like you were doing that. I don't know if your viewers heard about the sort of what was it? I thought it was a 500 ticket experiment, but it was a 100 ticket. The 100 ticket challenge. Where you started off with 100, and then you had to try to make as much money as possible in a year and beat all your other competitors who are doing the same thing. And if I were in that competition, I could not use this strategy because it's too slow.
Yep, exactly. And I got burned on my last 100 tickets that I was trying to do, just because I tried to do quick because I didn't want, because people want a video series on this. I can't show a video now and then 3 months be okay, now it's time to. So I picked some very risky stuff, and I actually picked some good stuff, but then I forgot about it, and then it rotated. So a lot of my picks actually did go up when I picked them, and then now they're worth nothing because they're rotated. But it's something I want to revive. It's just something that I think that someone should take over the mantle of that wants to do daily. I'm so all over the place with my channel. First, I'm a rogue brewer. Then I like the market aspect. Then I do all this other, commentary on the culture and stuff like that. It's tough for me to keep up with it.
Well, you just need to brand your series, and have a few of them, right? Like MTG Goldfish brands their series, Much a Brew About Nothing, or daily, daily deck techs, right? I don't know. You just have to come up with a few.
One of these days I'll get serious. One of these days.
Yeah. Well, you got to have fun while you do it too.
Yep, it's a fun hobby. I enjoy it, and I guess to give us some meat to the viewers before we close here, do you have a pick for what you are particularly investing in
right now?
Just one pick. I guess I can go first. Here's a long-term spec that I've been keeping my eye on for both paper and online. This beauty called Shambling Vent. Again, this is going to be different strategies. Shambling Vent, I think, is the one rotated land, even though it's a first set, that has the demand for Modern. The rest of them do not, including the blue-red one. So Shambling Vent is included in Abzan, Eldrazi Taxes, Abzan, Eldrazi. Is Abzan, Eldrazi a new thing? Is that what Jeff Hooglin was messing around with? Eldrazi Displacer, and I think he was. It's in the smallpox decks that come and go as flavor of the weeks. It was also in a very, very interesting black-white Planeswalker deck. Did you see that one going around with Gideon and / Liliana Tribal? So it was using Liliana, Gideon, and then it was just all control cards. So it's the one card that I think stands out from the pack. And if you look back at old Zendikar, the Manlands from there, we saw some pretty good spiking up of some of those. What was it? Raging Ravine type cards. Those ones are even online have had some good bumps in them from time to time. Again, this is a long-term spec, but Raging Ravine, for example, if it would have been invested in at its low point, 26 cents, got all the way up to a $9 mark, which is pretty significant. And, this is the one card that I've been sinking. I guess we should talk about diminishing returns, or on MTGO, I don't know what you would call it, because you get it on both ends. If you try to corner a card, the bots will try to adjust. So if you like, Goat bots only lets you buy 4 at a time. Some of the other ones will let you buy a little more, and then as soon as you exit out and go back in, they'll jack up the price. So you have to play the waiting game. Is it for you? Have you noticed it's 12 hours or 24 hours before they'll reset it for your account? Because I have theories on that with some.
It's not. Well, I haven't noticed that they're tied to accounts. I've just noticed that they.
Clock. Yeah.
Like some are more sensitive than others. The smaller stores are more sensitive, as you would expect, because they have less inventory, so they're going to be more, just more sensitive to to buying and selling. But the big two are Mana Trade. Excuse me. Mana Traders is big too, but I'm thinking of MTGO traders and Card Hoarder.
Yeah. Yep.
And there, it kind of depends. Sometimes you can sell 8 copies of something and they won't raise the price. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can sell 12 and they won't raise the price. Sometimes you can sell 4 and they will raise the price. Yeah. It just depends. But if you're the only person who's buying and selling it, then if you wait a few hours even, then the price will change, and go back to what it was before. All that means is that you can't. It means that your speculations need to have a little bit of staying power.
Yeah.
Or I should say, the more copies of a card you invest in, the greater the staying power of that card needs to be. That's the definitive rule. Like you don't you wouldn't want to. I'm trying to think of a card of late that spiked really hard for like a day and then went back. None are coming to me at the moment. Like sometimes these things do happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And those are not the ones that you want to have 100 copies of. Yeah. Those are ones you want to have like 4 copies of. Just sell playset or 8, right? 4 or 8, something like that. So it definitely makes me more skeptical to buy more. I try to not buy more than 100 of any card. I rarely do anymore.
Yeah. It's been hard for me to find another Stony Silence. It really has. I thought Anger of the Gods was going to be that card, and then they reprinted Iconic, and it screwed me. So, and I believe it also showed up on the curators list too.
Well, my best speculation this year. Well, let me pull it up. I mean, I think my best speculation this year has been Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Mm-hmm. Which I bought for 65 cents, and I've sold it for an average of $5. So that is a very high multiplier.
You got in right on that spike. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. They do happen. It's probably harder with treasure chests and modern cards, especially, to have those spikes. But in standard, it can definitely still happen. If I were to offer, a pick, I really want to. I haven't been able to invest in Chart a Course as much. I only have 37 copies right now, but Chart a Course is just it's useful in all formats. When a card is useful in standard, modern, and legacy, it's not going to be worth it's not going to be worth 2 cents in the future, right? So, I've been buying them at about 2 cents. Or a little below. I try not to buy them unless they're lower than 2 cents, but I definitely think that that's a really good speculation, and I don't think that you'll lose any money on it, and you'll probably make a good amount. That's not a sexy pick though. I'm scrolling. But that's completely not sexy at all. I'm scrolling through the list of Iconic Masters cards, and I'm just not liking any of them as really good.
Yeah, especially treasures.
Treasures, and a lot of the cards just aren't. I don't know. They're just not cards that I expect to just really bounce back. I was high on Restoration Angel, and I actually invested in that after Modern Masters 2017, but then they reprinted it in the very next Master set. So, I do still like Restoration Angel, and at $1, it's just such a powerful
Yeah,
card.
I'm not touching Restoration Angel. That thing's burned me too much already.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably
Because of the reprints is what I'm saying. I was with you
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me again? So
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I would probably stay away from iconic masters for on the MTGO side. I don't deal with the paper stuff,
yeah.
but on the MTGO side, I would definitely like Aether Vial seems a little low. You know,
Yeah,
five.
well no,
That
you
seems.
can't go into Aether Vial. I'll tell you why. And you should be aware of this. It's in a pre-con deck you can still buy. It has
Mm,
its own floor that no matter if it'll go above a price, then the bots will just buy it.
the which one
Aether Vial.
TPC?
Yep.
Huh?
Aether Vial you can purchase still to this day from the Wizard store.
No, I believe you, but just which one? Is it from the Vault Relics or
It
Theme
will be
Deck?
called Theme Deck. Is it? I guess I could say right now that. So, but that's what makes it kind of scary. Yeah, yeah. Because every time you can look at Aether Vial from the Theme Deck, you see how it never can really get above. It actually surprised me. It gets up 9. Because I believe this is in the deck you can purchase on MTGO. I could be wrong now. Maybe they've discontinued it. But that's the reason. Because this is a card that I guarantee if it wasn't in that deck would have spiked up to 40 on MTGO at times when we've had those big Death and Saxes swings and stuff like that. Because you can see, if you look at the trajectory of Aether Vial, it's stayed very flat for Goblin Guide's the other one. So that's what people, why don't you ever pick Goblin Guide? Why don't you ever pick Aether Vial? Because they're in like this pre-constructed box you can buy from the Wizard store on those theme decks.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit warning about the Vial. And it looks like it's
Yeah.
crashed back down again.
Well, anyway, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
really worry about it. And like I'm looking at buying Horizon Canopy because I'm playing lands in Legacy or trying to
Humans
play.
is still taking off too in Modern. People are
But
specking in that.
you just don't invest in these cards anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so like I might buy a playset, but that's not for investing. That's just for playing. And yeah, and at the moment I'm using like Scattered Groves as a replacement, which isn't ideal, but I'm just I wanted a cycling land to get some value with loam. Which is what Horizon Canopy is for in the lands deck. And Scattered Groves lets me do that, but costs more, costs 2 to cycle, which is annoying. But anyway,
yeah.
So I would definitely stick. I don't know. I'll stick with Chart a Course as being like a good speculation.
That's great too. I was showing people who were talking about it. I remember a similar card, Skullcrack. You could find it all over for 5 cents. It got up to about $1.10. That is huge.
These cards often get up to about $1. And then you've made like 20 times
was Harness Lightning like this? I'm checking that. See if that one was up like this too. Harness
Lightning. Supreme Will has already done it, so I've already sold Supreme Wills. Trends. I actually wrote an article on Quiet Speculation for all this. Actually, I looked at all of the uncommons from the past few years,
wow.
And guess which one was the best speculation. In fact, it might be the best speculation in all of Magic Online for the past 3 years. Guess which card it would have been. It's an uncommon from. I don't want to tell you the set because that might give it away.
Is
but
it
it's
rotated?
From the past. It has.
It has rotated, so we're gonna think of either Oath the Gatewatch or. I think it got to be out of Oath because Oath had a lot of supply out on even on MTGO. So either Eldritch Moon or Oath, huh? I don't know. You got me on that one.
Blessed Alliance.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez.
Yep.
That's a card that snuck up on everyone because it wasn't seen to play, and then Death Shadow decks.
You could have bought it for a penny or less, and sold it. And you actually could have sold it for $1. You could have sold it for $1.
$1.80 is where, or $1.70 is where it peaked out at.
Oh, so you might have actually been able to get more than $1 to sell it to someone, to sell it to a bot.
Yeah, the spread's very low. That's another people don't understand about why some people prefer MTG over paper. The spread is pretty good.
Much better. Yeah. The spread is much better.
And instantaneous. You don't have to ship it. You don't have to wait. You don't have to,
Right. So that would have been the best investment to make of anything in the past 3 years. Would have been Blessed Alliance. Charter Court. I don't want to make such a bold
I'm helping you with Chart a Course with that's one of my pet cards. I use it in almost every deck that I play in right now.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, yeah, I mean, I love it in draft too. You know, you draft Chart a Course, and if you play it, you can't really feel like you're going to lose the game, you know. So,
well, I think we've rambled on for over an hour and a half. This will be a long one, but I've enjoyed this.
We've been talking forever.
Yeah, we were talking for an hour before this, trying to even. Yeah. We'll probably try to script these.
I then asked Kevin if he was, you know, if he had started recording already. He said no, and I was like, oh Lord.
We talked about some pretty good stuff too. Too bad. Oh well. But I've enjoyed this. I like bouncing ideas off you. I think it flows pretty well. I hope everyone else enjoyed the stream. Anything other closing remarks you would like to make?
No, that's it. Thanks for inviting me to the show. Thanks for having me. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah, so. If you're more interested in this sort of thing, Quiet Spec, I'll throw. We'll throw your. I think if you were to send me, they do like a little bit of affiliate links. If you just send me your affiliate link, I'll throw it in the description of this channel for those of you who are interested in joining Quiet Speculation. They have an awesome program that really pays for the authors there. So shout out to them for that. So if you're interested, check the link in the description below.
I'm trying to get a blog for well, I don't know if I'd put my articles on there, but I'm making a custom set for Magic. It's still in its infancy, so I haven't really done too much with the WordPress blog thing. That would have been something to put on, you know, to put in the description, but it's not really ready yet. But my Quiet Speculation page, as you were noticing, it often just shows up blank, which is kind of annoying. I'm not sure why, because for other authors it doesn't. I don't know, but anyway, maybe they'll fix it. But yeah, I can send you a link to my Quiet Speculation author page.
Alrighty.
So,
well, everyone, as always, this has been Market Whenever, sometime, definitely not Monday, and thanks for watching.